Hello everyone, welcome back to Black Moon Bear Healing with another, I'm here with another little video that just popped in my head and I thought would be useful for you guys because that's really what I'm here to do. I like to share little bits of information that I think I found really helpful and I think other people might find really helpful. So today I want to talk to you about developing intuition with the use of oracle cards and the tarot and things like that. Why? Well, because we didn't always have language as our main form of communication. I think when language was created it was wonderful, it was brilliant, it meant that we could all talk with each other. But I think in a lot of ways we learned how to better communicate with each other, but we forgot how to communicate with the earth. And when we very first arrived in this place, we worked on our intuition and we worked with the symbols, the synchronicities that we take for granted, now every day. So, oh, here comes trouble. You're gonna say hello? Yeah. Luna's been desperate to be in a video and I said that I would let her if she got dressed, so she's found herself a pretty dress so that she can take part in today's video. Do you have anything you would like to say?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. You let me know. You let me know if you think of something? Yeah? Cool. So we're talking about how important it is to develop our intuition through. Yeah? Yeah. So one of the ways that I think is really nice to get in touch with that intuition, that intuitive side of us, is through the tarots and through oracle cards, because they already embody such a wealth of symbols and signs and things that we all recognise. They're in there in our DNA somewhere, somehow.
Fishes.
Fishes?
Yeah.
Fishes are cool.
Fish up there.
There is a fish up there. Ebby made that.
Oh.
Sorry. Where was I? I've lost track now, Foo. So yeah, there are a lot of symbols and signs that are kind of ingrained in our DNA. We know what they mean and we're able to communicate with them. Things like, okay, are just things that we've always developed. And if you think about our ancestors and how there's knowledge now that they used to trade amongst each other with the Greeks and the Egyptians and the Celts, even trading, and the Vikings amongst each other, they all had different languages but they communicated somehow, and I just find it really interesting to figure out how. So although I believe that we all have a sixth sense, a psychic ability, some of us are born with more developed sixth sense than others, which is fine. It doesn't mean that you can't develop that sixth sense, it doesn't mean that you don't have one, it just means you have to work it, in the same way that some people are kind of born with a natural athletic ability and others really have to work at it. It's just another muscle that you have to work, and if you're not born with that kind of knowing already, these can be a really fun way of doing that. So what is the difference between the tarot and the oracle? Okay, there are some differences. They're both essentially a method of, they're both essentially card decks that have imagery that provokes emotions and provides information if you know how to find it. So obviously tarot cards, this is Philip Permert's deck, it's a crystal tarot, surprise. This is what's called a pip deck, so all the wands are just wands, there's not much, some tarot decks have a lot more elaborate kind of pictures. You've got to find one that really speaks to you, that resonates with you. There'll be some of them that you look at and you go, oh no, I don't like the imagery in that one, and others that you look at and you go, oh, that's so beautiful, I like this deck, because it's like something out of a fairy tale. It's very much like the pictures you would see in a book when you were younger. There's the, oh, sorry, the light's getting in the way a bit of that, there you go. There's the knight on his horse coming to save the day, coming to deliver a message. The good thing about the tarot is, once you've kind of got to grips with all 78 cards, there are always 78 cards, they always mean the same thing. So once you've got to grips with what these 78 cards mean, you can pretty much pick up any deck whatsoever, and there might be subtle differences that the artist has added in, but essentially you can pick up any deck and read it, because the Three of Swords will always mean whatever Three of Swords means. I can't remember off the top of my head, that was a really bad example. But a tower will always mean that a change is coming. A tower will always mean that you may feel like the rug is being pulled from underneath you, but something will come back. It's time to change, it's time to rebuild, it's time to maybe move on from whatever it is you're pursuing. So I think a lot of tarot readers kind of recommend that you don't need the guidebook, go off your intuition, which is great for some people. I really struggled with that, because I would look at it and I'd just be like, my mind would go blank and I wouldn't be able to get anything. So I found it actually a lot easier to read the guidebook for a while until I kind of got to grips with the basic meanings of cards. A lot of people don't resonate with the tarot because a lot of the imagery in there is very archaic. It's really old now. It's still relevant, but a lot of people like something with a bit more of a modern twist, and that's where I think oracle cards are really good. Now with oracle cards, I still recommend reading the guidebook, because although yes, you can use your intuition, and yes, there will be some times when you pick a card and you go, I know exactly what that means because it means something to you. For example, I do have an animal deck, and there is a cat in there who is a spitting image of a cat that he died a couple of years ago, who was a big part of my life. So every time that card comes out, I know that's Winchester, and it just is. I just trust that, I know it, and it's him. I don't need to read the oracle card guidebook. I know that's the message for me from him, and it's nice. I like that. There will be times when you look at it and you think, oh, I've got my own ideas, but I want to see what the artist meant by that, and then you look at it and you think, oh wow, and that's a really good way to check your intuition and see how it's working, because you might think, I never knew that how good I was at deciphering symbols. And that can be really nice. It could, or it could be that you actually have no idea whatsoever what it means, and you read it and you go, actually that makes a lot of sense, and then next time you know. But it is good to have a look around, see what speaks to you. I have a lot of crystals and animal type decks. I do like Colette Baron Reid's decks. I think the artwork is always absolutely stunning. The artists that she picks are always phenomenal. The vision that she has and the stories that she weaves through the cards, I find really engaging and really really nice to look at. That's the Sham's Dream deck. So yeah, it's got some really nice imagery in it. So essentially what you're doing when you're working with any kind of a deck is you're saying to the universe, I've selected this language to speak to you today. And the universe goes, ah, okay, now we know what language you're speaking, we can communicate. So then you've got to learn to, what I tend to do is, start with that, what I tend to do is, I just shuffle it, and as soon as I get a kind of urge to stop, I will, and I will turn over whatever card I stop on. But I've already decided in my head that that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shuffle it. When I get the nudge to stop, I'm going to stop, and whatever that card is, I'm going to turn it over like this and read it as is, whether that's upside down or in protection mode, or whether that's upright, and I'm going to look at that meaning and see what emotions that card provokes for me. I like to think it's kind of like, you know, when you get a new phone and you go through the menu and you select what language you want the phone to speak to you in, and obviously it's English, but can you imagine getting a phone that just waited until you started speaking and then tried to decipher what kind of language you were using? It's like if you were going to meet somebody, and upon speaking with them you realised that they were actually using a foreign language, but you didn't know which language it was. You would kind of say things, and then you'd get, French, we're speaking French, okay, I can translate this, I can use this, I can figure this out now. It's about letting the universe know that you're speaking in signs and symbols and you're using this deck, and the universe can then guide you as to where to stop and how to interpret that. And obviously the deck has been provided and it has the energy in it, so yeah, I just think it's a really good way to communicate with the earth, is what I'm saying, in a really long-winded way. So we've gone over the basic difference between the tarot and the oracle. So a couple of little things that I would like to add. I know this has gone way over 5 minutes again, I'm sorry. And a couple of little things that I would like to add, just to get started, is I know you can do really big fancy spreads, and all card decks come with a guidebook in them that will have suggested spreads. I like to pick one card because I think it's less complicated, it's less to think about, less to try and figure out. Of course, if you want to do a big spread, do a big spread. But I like to pick one card a day and just set that for my focus for the day. You can do it before you do a healing session, a meditation, the start of your day, the end of your day, just as a clear focus and to narrow your intention and to get some guidance. You can obviously also ask specific questions, although I wouldn't recommend you try not to go into using a deck with kind of a burning desire or a burning question, because that energy can come across any cards. Ideally you want to go into it with kind of a neutral, level playing field, level head, so that you're not going tell me, because that energy of anxiety, I guess, will come back in your cards, and you don't want that. No one wants that. So it is good to be clear, be neutral, be settled, and have spend some time thinking about what your question actually is. It might well be, what do I need to know for my highest and greatest good today? Or what do I need to know for my highest and greatest good in relation to education, employment, relationships, friends, whatever the situation is. That way you get a really kind of open-ended answer back. I think sometimes when you use yes or no questions, the cards kind of come a little bit disjointed because they're like, well, it's not a yes or a no, it's a kind of, it's not right now, or it's a maybe tweak the way you're thinking, or it's whatever it is. So I do find it much easier, and you get a much better, well-rounded answer if you don't ask yes or no questions. You ask open questions, and always ask from the viewpoint of your highest and greatest good, because you don't want to get an answer from the viewpoint of the crazy erratic kind of needing to know something energy. You want to get an answer from that side of you that is connected, that knows what you need to do and knows what you need to know and what maybe you don't need to know right now. So that's why I like to use tarots and oracles as a form of communication, because I'm not psychic. I have developed my intuition to a point where I can quite accurately decipher my own little world, and that's wonderful, because I started with nothing, just an interest, just an inkling to want to learn. So that's fantastic. But I do think that oracle cards and tarot cards have been a big part of that journey. They've really helped, and if you do or don't use them, I would like to know what your experiences are, what your thoughts are, and yeah, let me know how you get on with it. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found some use from it in between the waffle. And I'll speak to you again soon. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.